Okay,
Okay.
we are live. We are live. Okay.
Okay.
All right. What's up? Doing a different kind of video. It's your boy Conscious Koon Killer here with
I love
the
your name, by the way. Conscious. Yeah, I forgot to mention that. It's a nice, well thought out name. Why did you choose that name? I forgot.
Really I just kind of made it up. I guess I'll give a little credit to this guy named Robert Perkins. He also makes kind of similar videos I make. He kind of, I guess, low key inspired me to make these videos. Him and a few other people, Phil, Levi Show. Rob talks a lot about America, but he spells it with three Ks, like the Ku Klux Klan. And I always thought that was kind of clever. And I was trying to think of a channel name. I'm like, okay, well, it's supposed to be like the Black conscious community. So I'm like, okay, I'll incorporate the word conscious. I'm like, okay, well, the opposite of being a Black conscious person, we use the word coon. Usually it's like a Black person that's a sellout or isn't, woke, as they say. So I'm like, okay, well, both of those words start with a C. I'm like, oh, I could flip that to K's, like Ku Klux Klan. I'm like, okay, well, I got to think of a third word. I'm like, okay, well, if I'm trying to be conscious and wake people up, I'm essentially killing the coon within them. So I'm like, okay, conscious coon kill. It sounds funny and it tricks people's eyes. So I'm like, okay. I'm like, it's 3Ks and it's,
very creative.
It's corny, but it
no, not at all. Actually, it's really nice. Yeah.
It's an attention grabber. So
yeah. Okay, so my name is Loza, for those who don't know. My channel is Anna Loza. Anna is not my name, by the way. Loza is my name.
Oh, I didn't know it.
Yeah. So yeah, I'm happy to interview or to chat with you today. Let's talk about Black men and Black women. Do you want to start off with your question? Oh, let me just say, when I say Black, I'm referring to African descent. That would involve Africans, African Americans, African Canadians, any Black person all over the world. This includes. Do you want to ask the question or should I?
Yeah, we can go back and forth. I can ask my question and then you answer and then you can ask yours, like that. Okay. My first question is, what can Black men do to strengthen our relationships with you guys as Black women? And when I say relationships, I mean whether that's platonic friendships, romantic, business, the whole nine.
I think the biggest problem with Black women is we feel like our men prefer or treat other women better. I think that, I mean, obviously it's a generalization, right? Not all men are like that. I know a lot of Black men who are amazing, who admire Black women, who respect Black women. But when, like subconsciously, and it's not just Black men, it's Black women too. Subconsciously, Black men see other races as unattainable, subconsciously, and the Black woman is more as a last resort, as a general statement, because the idea of beauty based off of Western standards has been ingrained in their minds through colonization, and so subconsciously a lot of Black men see not so much just white women, but Indian women or Arab women or all sorts of other women as the prize, if that makes sense, or the idea of beauty. And so I think that if, you have a lot of Black women who hate their hair, for example, if Black men loved everything about Black women will love themselves as well.
Well, I was gonna say about that, I think it's kind of funny because I remember these younger guys that I used to work with. They're probably between like 19 to 23, like that college age, and we were on break. They're like, "Yeah, man, I gotta give me one of them college white girls. I gotta go down to the university, give me one." Which it's not the, as a man, I'm like, okay, you just pursuing woman, you're single guys, whatever. But they kept specifically talking about college white girls. I'm like, wait, that in the United States, Black women in the millennial and post-millennial generations, Black women are attending and graduating from college at the highest rate. So I'm like, I'm asking, I'm like, no, I'm like, if you want to holler at a white girl, whatever, just be careful. But I'm like, what about all these college Black girls? And they're like, no, I don't want these ratchet hoes. All this. I'm like, dang, wait a minute. I'm like, so then I asked them, I'm like, hold up, okay, so if you had to choose between some hillbilly white trash white girl or a more educated Black woman, what would you choose? And without hesitation, all of them said the educated Black woman. I'm like, okay, so it sounds like what y'all want is a woman that's not, quote unquote ghetto or ignorant. You want more of a, feminine, educated woman. Mm-hmm. I'm like, if that's what you want, articulate it that way. Because when you say, oh, I want a white woman, really what you're saying is you want an educated woman, but what you've internalized is that only white women can be this way. The women that you desire can only be white, and the women that you don't like must be Black. I'm like, there's plenty of good and bad women that are of whatever race, like you said, East Indian or Hispanic, whatever.
Right.
And they're like, oh yeah, man, I guess. And these guys were they were more from the hood or whatever. It was, which not most, but a lot of Black people in America are from lower income areas due to socioeconomic discrimination. And they're like, oh man, that makes sense. Okay, cool. I'm thought to myself, like, dang, how many Black men say that and they don't actually mean that they want white women? They mean that they want a certain class of women, but they are just so indoctrinated and they believe so much of this social conditioning that to them, a high class woman is the same as a white woman.
Right.
Because a lot of these dudes, because a lot of these dudes I talk to them, they'll say that Black women are more attractive. But they're like, oh, I can't put up with this, that, and the third. I'm like, yeah, I understand that there are some Black women that may act stereotypically, but I'm like, there's plenty of Black women that act the way that you would, deem a white girl to act, because there's no such thing as acting a color. I'm like, there's plenty of Black women I know that are educated, that are, whatever, type that, different types of women. And I'm like, you gotta either open up your eyes and, travel, whatever you gotta do, or stop saying it in that way. Stop connecting race with personality, because that's really what it boils down to. You know what I mean? But so I think that's kind of interesting.
No, I definitely agree. I agree with that point. A lot of it does have to do with the person's characteristics, but at the same time, it's also ingrained in, like, someone with that mentality. Mm-hmm. It's not just about being educated. It's also about the physical appearance, because subconsciously they see that as a trophy, like as success, if I end up
show off.
Exactly. And which is sad, because that means this person does not hold themselves at a high standard.
Exactly.
But it's not just Black men. It's also Black women too. I know, and I have a friend, actually, she's from East Africa. And she makes little comments here and there about, oh, I don't want to stay in the sun because I don't want to get too dark. Stupid comments like that. It's just a subconscious thing that we need to learn to unlearn, right? Once you point it out to people, then it'll get them to reflect on it. But my issue is this. I don't care what anyone dates. Black men are not forced to date Black women. It's more about the fact that they don't see Black women as beautiful.
Value. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, not only just valuable, but beautiful, because the definition of beauty has been so whitewashed, basically. So my problem isn't that Black men are dating outside their race, because I'm dating outside, and I honestly do not differentiate between who I fall for. But it's more about the mentality and the self-hate that people have. So I think I truly, truly believe that if Black men valued Black women and saw them as beautiful, then I think that Black women will in turn start to see themselves as beautiful. I mean, I know, you would say that it should come from within and whatever, but if you're constantly being treated like garbage by all races,
Mm.
and including your own, then it's very difficult to see that. So
But
I think that's a problem that a lot of Black women have. I'll speak on behalf of Black women. Let's use my previous relationship. Jamaican guy cheated on me, and before the cheating, I went through his phone, and I saw a message that he had with his friends. And he said in this message, "Oh, these Persian girls are somewhere along these lines. Persian girls are so hot. All I can get are Black women."
wow.
Yeah. So it's just this mentality that as a last resort, when you want to get laid, or when you want to, when no one else will have Black men, Black women will. And the reality is, Black women always stand, for the most part, we stand by Black men's side for the most part. And I'm not saying through dating or through whatever, but if, for example, if I see a Black person, a Black man or woman, in a situation, I instinctively gravitate towards them, and I will instinctively defend Black people. But when the roles are reversed, I don't really see that reciprocation as much. I mean, yes, it's there. There are people like you. There are people like, the men that I surround myself with. But it's not as common as I'd like for it to be.
Yeah, I agree with all that. Just to be
Yeah.
clear, when I said value, I just want to be clear. I didn't mean far as like an object. I meant value, like respect and honor, things like that. I didn't mean it in like
Oh,
an
okay. Yeah.
objective type of way. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, you basically explained it better when I said value, as far as like how you said your last relationship. You said, "Oh, all I can get." Like
Right.
that's obviously he's not, you know, looking at Black women as a valuable option. It's
Yeah.
just like, oh well, it's like being broke, and you're like, man, I wish I could afford this caviar, but all I can afford is ramen noodles.
Exactly.
You got to eat something, right? It's like,
Exactly.
dang, Black women aren't ramen noodles. They're the
Right. Exactly.
cream of
Yeah.
the. Or at
Yeah.
least you should believe that if you're a Black person. I don't think that's racist. That's just about having pride and self love
Exactly.
for yourself. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
But
And then the thing is, like, from my experience, yes, there are people. This is what I tried to explain on another channel. From my experience, there are a lot of people who like to, who think of Black women as a fetish.
negrophilia. I just learned that word the other day.
Negrophilia.
Yeah, it's a real thing. Yeah,
That's hilarious.
and I'm so glad I learned that word the other day. So I'm like, oh my god,
What the hell?
this is a real thing. Yeah, yeah. It's like you fetishize Black people, like sexually fetishize Black. Yeah, yeah.
Oh, I'll go look that
Negrophilia.
up.
Look it up.
I'll
Yeah.
definitely look that up. But yeah, I know that it exists. I definitely know that it exists. But at the same time, those of us who are wise do not jump into relationships or get involved with people who have these ways, right? I find that a lot of men from other races actually value Black women. From my experience, this is a generalization again, but from my experience, every time I've dated outside of my race, they have treated me very well. The only reason those relationships ended have been because of difference of personality or lack of culture, which is really
I was
important.
gonna say culture is probably.
Yeah, lack of culture for me is extremely important. Like things that are not so huge. I mean, they're huge, but they're not disrespectful, because that's just their way of being. Whereas my relationships with Black men have been, let's see, yeah, like the example I gave you, I didn't feel valued, or I felt the opposite. I felt like this one person was only with me because I was light skinned, more. So there's still that inner self-hate, which a lot of Black men and women have to deal with. They have to to really figure that out. And it's not our fault, right? It's not our fault that we've been subject to racism and colonization and all these things, but we need to be conscious about what we accept into our minds and into our lives too.
Yeah, we got to teach our kids better because that's really where it
Right.
starts is our kids they follow what we do, what we see as parents, as adults, and also what they see on TV through
Right.
music videos, television. If they're seeing black males, for example,
Yeah.
and black women as well, but as far as, because my question is more so towards black men, we're seeing black men appreciating other types of women more. That's going to subconsciously make little boys think, oh well, this must be the goal, and it's going to
Yeah.
make little black girls think, oh, something must be wrong with me. I got to look at him. I got to change my hair. I got to bleach my skin. Or like you were
Exactly.
saying
Yeah.
about your friend, afraid to be outside for too long. She didn't want to get darker, like that type of stuff. That's where a lot of this
Yeah.
stuff comes from.
Right.
Not being afraid, but for lack of a better term, being afraid of
Oh,
ourselves. And then we show that on the outside by either, who we date exclusively, like as well as us putting down our own race while dating outside. So I believe you can date whoever you want, but like the Jamaican guy you dated, he's saying, "Oh well, all I can get is this." I guarantee the next girl that he was with probably wasn't black, and he's probably saying the same crap about
she
black women.
actually she's half black actually. The other girl, half black, half Korean or something.
Okay,
Yeah.
you
But
know,
same thing. It's like that's all he thinks he can get, and
yeah.
he doesn't see the value of it, right? So
But that also shows a lot of low self esteem with him, which
right,
saying which then he internalizes with the people that he dates, or or like with black women, a lot of times, especially in America, black women will perm their hair
right.
because either because they say it's easier to manage or because it's easier to keep a job or to get a job, which that is true about the job thing.
It is true.
I
Oh,
will say that.
100%. Yeah.
Even though still, when it comes to at least like black women that wear wigs, I know I'm kind of segueing real quick, but like black women
That's
that will wear wigs to get a job, and they'll say, well, I had to
right.
put this, straight lace wig on to get this job. I'm like,
Right.
okay, cool. I can understand that. However, why are you still wearing that wig when you're checking the mail or when you're out at the club trying to attract men, and then turn around and
Yeah.
get mad when black dudes say, oh, I prefer women with a certain, it's like,
Yeah.
but it's like,
Yeah.
I get it. Black women didn't create that
Yeah.
environment, and
Right.
black women had to deal with black beauty more than men do because society cares more about what women look like than what men look
Yeah.
like. Even though black men, we do kind of get that as well. Like you've had little black boys in America that have gotten kicked out of school for having dreads. So
Yeah.
that does happen too, but it happens more with black women because y'all looked at as black and women at the same time. So
Right.
I get it, but at the same time,
Yeah.
if there's a pattern of of a black woman who never has even really known what their natural hair feels like, it's kind of like, okay, there's a chance you may have some self-hate. Just like a black dude who never even attempted to even talk to a black woman romantically. It's kind of like, okay, so there might be something else going on. It might not just be, whatever. But
Yeah, no, 100%. I think that, like you said earlier, she's saying, I'll do it for the job, and then why do you still have it on outside of this interview, right?
mm-hmm.
That's true. But at the same time, this is why I say that black men need to show more love towards black women, because now it's not just the interview, it's also the dating scene, it's also her love life, it's also when she goes grocery shopping, you know what I mean? Like, it's not just that job interview. So if more black men appreciated, complimented her with her natural hair, instead of like bashing her, saying, oh, why are you wearing a wig or whatever. I mean, I'm all for natural hair, and anyone who's dark skinned who's probably looking at me and saying, oh, it's because you have, nice, or what's the word, good hair.
I hate that.
Then yes, okay, I
if it's
understand
not
where you're
if it's
coming
not
from.
if it's anything other than the 4A to 4C, then it's good,
Yeah. See, but what I'm saying is, that's why I put the ownership, the responsibility on black men, because I would say that the hardest thing, like for men, for black men, it's hard to be a black man, but try and imagine how it's like to be a black woman, because that
Mm.
is not easy, especially if you do not, the darker you are, the more racism and, sexism and all sorts of things that you face. And yeah, so it needs to start with you guys, is what I'm saying. The defensiveness, if anybody is making fun of black women, stand by her side. If just compliment black women on a regular basis, just their natural hair when they're wearing it out, even if you catch them on a day off, just like throwing out the garbage or whatever, and they look like garbage. Oh, that's bad. That's like, I didn't mean to use the two terms, but when you look like shit, like on my worst day, when somebody tells me I look beautiful, that makes me feel so good. When I'm riding the bus with my hair like in a bun and I'm in my sweats and someone says I look beautiful, that's my biggest compliment, right? But if that's why I put the ownership on you guys. When a woman feels like shit and you catch her on a day off without her wig, compliment her, because that will encourage her to do more of that, and eventually it'll fix the problem.
Absolutely. Yeah, I've had a lot of shocking responses from black women when I'll catch them like at a coming out of a movie theater at like the grocery store or whatever. And like, if I see a black woman with braids or an afro, something like that, I always like, hey, I love your hair. And like I had one woman she almost did like a double take. I was just like, oh, hey, you have nice hair, or you have good hair, something like that. Said she was like, I'm like, yeah, I'm like, your nails really nice. She's like, oh my god, like thanks. She's like, you too, thank you. And
yeah,
I could it was like a little cultural moment, and she was with a couple of her friends, and I think it was like a black person, a white person, and I think it was another black woman that was with her, and then there was a white dude, and the white dude was just kind of like all confused, and like all of us we all kind of understood, and he was just kind of like why are y'all why is like why is this a big deal, and the thing is I'm because I always do what you said. I always try to do if I see a black woman with her natural hair, so I know that probably may have been a hard transition depending on how long he's been doing it, but I never realized how big of a deal that was. Like I never, started complimenting black women on natural hair to try to get any kudos. Like I just say it because that's just what I mean. But I never realized how big of a deal. Like almost every time I've said that to a stranger, like a black woman, a stranger, and compliment on their hair, like they always are either really appreciative or they're shocked. Makes you think like, dang, like does nobody ever tell them this? This is kind of like, damn, that's like you said, that's on us, as men, because something I know is too with black men will say all the time, which I agree that, and I think this might probably go into another question later on. You can get to your question too. I know.
No, that's okay. No, I like this conversation.
But a lot of times we as black men will say, we wish our women were more effeminate, which there is some truth to that. But at the same time, my thing is, we can be more masculine in a positive way, not toxic masculinity, which, we may or may not get into that. But, in my opinion, that's a way of showing, I guess, leadership in a way, or just, positive assertiveness as not only a man, but specifically as a black male, and racially or culturally, whatever you want to say it, connecting with black women and saying, hey, you have good hair. Like us putting a standard on our own stuff instead of waiting for the outside community to say what is good or bad about us, because they're never going to tell us that we're great.
It'll never come around. Like
we
if they find something nice about us, they'll put it on, or white people or whatever, right?
Look, Kim Kardashian has boxer braids. She just invented some new hairstyles. Like what? This ain't we've been doing this for thousands of years. Like you can look up old mummies with braids. Like there was some. I think it was either in Egypt or it might have been in Central America, but it was a little black girl, and it was like a mummy. It was a little black girl that was in almost perfect condition for whatever thousands of years, and she had like full like poetic justice. Janet Jackson,
yes,
like full braids. It's like we've been, and I get other cultures have done like dreadlocks and braids, whatever too, but that's definitely something that black people culturally we've done around the world for a long time or whatever. So. it's just, we can't wait for some other,
No.
society to tell us what's considered good hair or
Yeah.
bad hair, and but yeah, that's something that I was almost kind of taken back
Yeah.
by when I would, see a cute black woman. Oh, I like your hair.
Yeah.
And without fail, they'll either get really shocked or they'll, be very appreciative of it, which I appreciate them appreciating my compliment, but I'm just kind of like, damn,
Yeah.
like, does nobody ever, and I think about it, I'm like, well, shit, when did
Yeah.
they ever see positive images of black women, especially black men, giving them that?
Exactly.
Like in media, social media or TV, usually it's other black women creating shows or platforms or spaces for black women to be like, hey, we're beautiful, but you don't really see as much on the other end. It's out there, but
Yeah.
it's not balanced. You know what I mean? So they probably really don't see that in the real. They might see a black dude compliment, a woman who is black or another race that has straighter hair or whatever case may be,
Yeah.
or whatever,
Yeah.
or whatever, There's nothing wrong with complimenting a woman of period, as men.
Yeah.
There's nothing wrong with complimenting women, but at the very least, we should make sure as black men that our women are good first and
Exactly.
foremost before we move on to anybody else or try to worry about other
Yeah.
people because they have their own men. You know what I mean?
Exactly.
Like,
Exactly.
so.
Oh, and our men too. So, yeah.
But,
So
right.
let's wrap this up because I have to go to work now.
Oh, speaking of which,
Yeah, but it was nice chatting with you.
absolutely.
Very well-rounded. I like your brains, how you're thinking. I think there's these kind of discussions are good. I think they need to be had, and I think if we're going to leave with anything today, your assignment is to go compliment a woman for her natural hair, a black woman, or just tell her she's beautiful. It's nice to do these things. I know you do it, but continue doing it. And anyone who's watching, all you men out there, it's your responsibility to empower your women. And all the women watching, I think that we need to do better to look inside and and up here to try and figure out why we're so messed up and try to unlearn everything we've been taught. Yeah.
I will say, just as a man, for women, if a man is coming at you in a respectful way and giving you constructive criticism,
Oh, yeah.
Try your best not to get so defensive. I can understand the reason why some women will get defensive due to having a lot of walls built up or whatever the case may be. But if a man is, seriously trying to help and trying to encourage or trying to build you up, and it once again in a respectful way, don't just automatically snap on them. You know what I mean? Because that's how you can lose a lot of good men, so to speak, whether that's a friend or potential husband or whatever the case may be. If we're commenting on the way some women act or the way some women look or the way some women think, if we're doing if we're genuinely being respectful, that once I'm stressing that because I'm not trying to say some dude that's calling you out your name or whatever, like that's something else. But if we're genuinely trying to be respectful and you can see that, just listen to what he's saying, even if you don't want to hear him at that point in time, or even if you are getting kind of angry with what he's saying, just okay, whatever, like just let's just end the conversation now, cool, and then go home when you're calm. Think about what he said, maybe when you're by yourself, so you're not yelling at him, and just think about what he has to say, because he might really be trying to help. Because sometimes, I think there's a lot of miscommunication between men and women because we do communicate differently. Men usually communicate more with the logical part of their mind, and women communicate more with their feelings. There's nothing wrong with either or, but we need to,
Yeah, no, I'm laughing
find a middle ground.
I'm laughing because this is so true, actually.
Yeah.
This has been an issue in my relationship where I am emotional.
And your fiance is East Indian, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's an intellectual person. Well, I'm intellectual too, but I think it's a lot deeper than that, than just I don't know. I think men and women are just made completely differently. That's why we clash so much.
But we complete
mm,
each other too. We're like puzzle pieces. If we find the right man, the right woman together,
right.
we can fit together. That's
Yeah.
you know.
It's I don't know. It's communication is important. I think you need a mixture of both emotions and intellect. You
Mhm.
know, just using your words with no emotion doesn't get the message across, and just being emotional with no,
Odds.
yeah, with no like
I'm
common
joking.
sense,
Yeah.
there's that doesn't get you anywhere either. So I think a mix of both is something that we need to learn how to do. Yeah, but good point. Good
Yeah,
point.
we can end there. So yeah, work.
Yeah.
Real quick though, would you want to sometime do like a part two since we have more questions and stuff?
Yeah,
Um,
definitely. Maybe next month though, because
yeah,
or we'll figure it out. Let's we do have more questions. Hey, these things take forever, which is nice. I like this conversation.
I tend
Um,
to ramble a lot.
no,
So
no, no, it's good. It's good conversation. It's needed. But yes, definitely. Let's do a part two, but I just don't know when because my life is kind of crazy right now.
it's all good.
We'll figure it out. Yeah.
All right.
Okay. Call me after this call.
Okay.
Okay. Bye. Bye, everyone.
Peace. It's your boy, Conscious Koon Killer. I'm out. Had to do it. All right.